I must have been 9 or 10, maybe 12, 13 years old. I don't remember exactly, but I do remember that it was a warm, sunny day, and the light was coming through these beautiful, colorful glasses on this wooden door. I was at a friend's house. I was studying with her, and I was famished. I was hungry, and I couldn't understand, because if you know the Iranian culture, you understand that, especially the part I'm coming from. I'm from northern Iran. So if you're a guest in a household, you never go hungry. They overfeed you, constantly putting food in your mouth, and they never give up. So I was puzzled. I couldn't understand. And we had a long way to go, and my friend was studying with me, and I could hear my stomach making noises. And at some point, finally, she left the room. And it took her a while to come back. I was waiting to see, she's coming back with a plate of food. She didn't. Her face was full of despair. And she sat down in front of me and told me, I went to my mom, she prepared lunch, but she told me to tell you this first. I'm Behai. You don't mind eating in our house? And I do remember the shame I felt. The shame on behalf of my society, on behalf of the government that was encouraging such behavior, the society that believed that Baha'is are najas or impure, so you shouldn't eat their food. The society that forced my friend to ask that question at that age from me. I don't remember my friend's name. They left our hometown that year, and I never could track her after that. I don't know what happened to her. I don't know her story. I don't know if she ever found a happy ending. I know a story of another woman. She was young. She had to marry this much older guy and become his second wife. She couldn't read or write. She didn't acquire any skills in life. She had 4 children with him. He became abusive and addict, but she had to live with him. This continues for years until she finally decides to leave him and get a divorce. So she's ending up with no skills, no education, and have to support her 4 children. So she starts working, washing houses, washing the deceased bodies of people in a morgue, and do anything to support the children. This carries on until a horrible, awful day when she's 66 years old. The news comes in. His 35-year-old son has been killed. He was killed under torture in a prison in Iran because he was writing about the injustice he was witnessing around him. What did she do? She stood up. She decided to speak out and don't give up. She shouted about seeking justice. The government arrested her, beaten her up, arrested other children she had, demolished their house, vandalized their streets, but she didn't give up. My mom met her once in a town near my hometown in northern Iran, on a grave of another victim of Islamic Republic. She was there to show her solidarity and support for the other family. When Women Life Freedom happened, at the age of 77, this woman decided to take her headscarf off in solidarity with the women of Iranian women on the street. I do know her name. Her name is Gouhar عشقی. I know the story of another woman. She was young and beautiful, tall with a face that you could not stop staring at. Or at least that was the impression she left on me when I first met when I was a child. She got married when she was young, and she had a child and a husband, but she met another man, and they fell madly in love with each other. One day, when they were together, the neighbors called the police. The police comes, arrests both of them, put them in jail, publicly lashes them. The man was released after out of prison a while after that, and he had a stroke. He becomes paralyzed, and he dies in that state years later. For her, after the public lashing, they decide her sentence should be a stoning to death. A young social worker decides this is not just, and I should pursue this. So she put all of her effort into rescuing her, or at least changing the sentence. And she succeeded to turn it, after a decade, to a release. I met her a year after that. The beauty and the bright smile I remember were replaced by a deep sadness in her eyes and lines. But the smile didn't vanish completely. She was kind herself and would smile brightly at every single act of kindness around her. She was banished by her family, branded immoral. She found refuge in her sister's house, but the sister's husband, children wouldn't understand her, so she lost her home again. Her name, I do remember, her name was Fátemه, and her story is one of many. Yet their pains were different from the pains of those 10 amazing Behai women who got executed unjustly 40 years ago. Their pain was different from the pain of Nika when she was arrested, tortured, and killed 9 months ago, or from Hasti, who died from a blow to her head in Baluchistan at a protest at the age of 7. But as women and the queers of Iran and across the world, regardless of our ethnicity, race, sexual orientation, religious identity, and beliefs, we all suffered injustice, oppression, and discrimination. We know that nothing will be handed to us if we are not privileged. We know that either you decide to work within the patriarchal system and try to survive and sometimes even become an oppressor, or you fight and you find a way to make the world a better place. If not for yourself, at least for the others. I have one last story for you. Her name is Zeinab. She is strong and amazing. Coming from a Kurdish family, she is familiar with oppression from the day she was born. She was brave and fearless. She knew no one would serve her freedom on a plate. She got arrested at the age of 25. In a trial that took 10 minutes, the judge sentenced her to execution. With years of campaigning from the International Human Rights Organization, that sentence was reduced to life sentence. 16 years later, she is still in prison, and in the last 10 years, she didn't even have 1 day off. She's been tortured continuously, and she's been denied medical treatment. But she's been a symbol of resistance and perseverance. She wrote this from the prison a while back. First, my eyes were plagued with sickness, followed by my kidneys, my lungs, and even my mouth succumbed to thrush. As if that weren't enough, my blood pressure soared, and now my teeth suffers, causing me unbearable agony. It pains me greatly to share that I've been pleading for a dentist for 3 long months, yet the prison authorities have callously disregarded my pleas. Please, rest assured, though my physical body may be confined, I have never waged a battle with it. A true prisoner fights with their thoughts and ideas, not with their physical form. And thankfully, you, the oppressor, cannot imprison the thoughts of any seeker of freedom. No force, no entity possesses the strength to impede my pursuit of dreams. Zeinab continues to endure pain. She is still in prison, but some others are no longer in pain. They lost their lives. But we shouldn't forget that they left us their stories that tell us about their everyday acts of resistance, sometimes as subtle as the smile on Fáteme's face, and sometimes grandiose as Zeinab's life. I do believe that this resistance, this defiant stand against the oppressor, whoever and wherever they are, is what unites and makes our story one. Thank you.